But everyone has a different story to tell. Shell, which says it's losing it.
The Tampa market. Starting to rise.
Country in Northeast Africa, precisely on the horn of Africa.
The living fund.
But everyone has a different story to tell. Shell, which says it's losing it.
The Tampa market. Starting to rise.
Country in Northeast Africa, precisely on the horn of Africa.
The living fund.
All right, sorry folks. Okay. Yep. So once again, this is Frank. Welcome back this morning. This is WCC, the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series. I just want to welcome you all this morning. So as you come on, please share the live. So as usual, before we go on, I just want to say thanks to all of you that are tuning in. So when you come on, please share the live. Also subscribe, like, and share. Okay. And we just want to say thank you for being on here, and thank you to our patron, our donator, people who go on our website to read our article. Thank you for being part of our patron as well. So today's topic here is Western terrorism is a business. Okay, Western terrorism is a business. It is not as how the news reporter gave it about terrorists. Oh, they are bad, they are this, they are that. It is a business. All right. Just how slavery was a business, terrorism is a business by the West. Just how colonialism was a business, terrorism is a business by the West. All right? Terrorism is a business by the Osa nation. And when I say by the West, you already know who I'm speaking in regards to it, okay? So, before we start, let me say this. Share this live, okay? Do not keep it. That it go and reach to many as it can. Do not keep it. All right? So let's get into it, what we are here for. And by the way, we're not going to take long today. So it's just this one topic, and then maybe at the end, I'm going to touch on Kenya, okay? With Bill Gates, with Africa. All right? Bill Gates, who want to make sure to see Africa decrease in population, all right, is the man, again, that is on the African continent. And our leaders, specifically the Kenyan leader, I thought President Ruto, I thought he was great. I thought he was great when he first started. And I was like, okay, you know, sometimes most of these leaders, when they first start their leadership position, I don't know if they like to make African to think otherwise. They will start good, and then later on, you see the real true color of them. And that is why the Kenyan President Ruto, is doing currently. When he first started, and I was like, yeah, this guy is a Pan-Africanist, you know, or he want to see Africa connect or Africa unite. All right. So I can see, you know, his direction. But, you know, most of these people, when they get into power, they already sold their soul. Okay. They are already being financed. All right. So they got to make sure to satisfy people who finance them, and that is how I think the Kenyan president currently is. So we're going to get into that. So let's get into the main topic here. Western terrorism is a business. Terrorist activities we see, whether on the continent or in the Middle East, is a business by the West. So let me bring out the first. Let me bring out this video first. All right. So I got this from the United States government website. All right. So let me pull it out. We're not going to take long here today. Anyway. All right, folks. So what we have here, sorry. Let me go back here first. Where is it? Let me see. Plead guilty. All right. So this is not 8. Yeah, this should be 8. Oh, I just lost it. I think it's all right. Hold on, folks. Bear with me. Let me see how I can get it. I just lost it then. Oh, I gotta go back and pull it out. No, this is not it. Hold on, me. Bear with me, folks. No, I have 2 here. I'm not getting it. All right. I found it. Sorry. Okay, I found it. Sorry, folks. I found it. All right. So what we have here is a report from the United States Department of Justice about terrorism. All right. So what I'm about to show here, I'm going to allow the video play. All right. Now, I don't want you to be convinced that just because the United States is giving a report on it, that means the United States is innocent or the United States is not part of the game. All right. Terrorism, Western terrorism is a business. Okay. It's a court. Okay. It's a game. All right. So just because the United States is giving a report, okay, about terrorist activities here, okay, and finding those organizations guilty, that does not mean the United States is not part of this game. All right. That does not mean the United States is not part of this business. It's a business. Now, the question here is, the question we're going to be asking, or we have to ask, is why the United States is investigating another colonizer. Why a colonizer is investigating another colonizer. Okay, get this clear. All right, we're going to get deeper into it. But the question here is, why should the United States, another colonizer, another enslaver, investigate another colonizer, investigate another enslaver? Okay, why an entity that benefits, okay, from terrorist activities, all right, investigate another entity that benefit from terrorist activities. All right, why would a company that took part in slavery, let's just put it that way, why would a company that took part in the colonization of Africa, all right, why would a company that took part in dehumanizing African people, right, tend to be a company that investigating another company that took part in a colonization, that took part in the enslavement of African people? So just because the United States came out and gave a report about an organization that is supporting terrorists, and All right, let's get into it. So I don't want to go ahead of what I'm about to say. So I'm going to allow the video to play, and you're going to see here, and then we're going to see whether the United States is ignorant, or how they call it, innocent, or the United States is playing game with Africa. All right. Now, bear in mind, for the past few days or weeks, a report on the United States and Great Britain have narrowed its case, all right, have narrowed it down that they both should be the two superpower, right, to fight Russia and China on the African continent, right? So what the United States is trying to do here, folks, this is all part of the game, all right? And you want to see why this is all part of the game. To lie to African people, to fool African people, to make African people to think that the United States is on their side investigating terrorist activities in the world or on the African continent. The United States want to make African leaders to think that the United States is on their side. But how can you try to, in fact, how will even African people believe you when we already know you were the supplier of ammunition to the TPLF rebel in Ethiopia to fight the Ethiopian government that destroy a lot of citizens, that kill a lot of citizens? So you support terrorism, you support rebel. Then how will you come out to say you are investigating terrorist activities in the world, and at the same time you are investigating terrorist activities taking place in South Africa? Or you think we will sit and just listen to your report and don't go and do background check or go and do our own investigation? Hell no, United States. You get it wrong. Not this generation. All right? Not this generation. We're going to call you out as a hypocrite. Let's continue here.
Was allowed to operate. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. With me today, to my right, is Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. And to my left is Matthew Olson, Assistant Attorney General of the Justice Department's National Security Division, as well as Michael Driscoll, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI New York Field Office. We have Darren McCormick, Deputy Special Agent in charge, Homeland Security Investigations New York, and NYPD Inspector Roberto Rios, Executive Officer of the Joint Terrorism Task Force. Today, I announce the historic guilty pleas of two companies for conspiring to provide material support to foreign terrorist organizations. The two companies are Lafarge SA and Lafarge Cement Syria SA. The foreign terrorist organizations are the Islamic State of Iraq and Al-Sham, or better known as ISIS, and the Al-Nusra Front, or ANF. These are the first companies ever charged by the Justice Department with providing material support to foreign terrorist organizations. In addition to pleading guilty, the defendants agreed and were sentenced to pay a total financial penalty of $777.78 million. As I will describe in detail later on, this sentence is well deserved because in 2013 and 2014, Lafarge made a deal with the devil. Foreign terrorists who pledged to, and in fact did, harm the United States, its people, and its national security, and they did it for profit. I will now turn it over to Deputy Attorney General Monaco.
Good morning. Thank you, Breon, and thank you all for being here. Today's guilty pleas to terrorism charges by multinational construction conglomerate Lafarge and its Syrian subsidiary reflect corporate crime that has reached a new low and a very dark place. For the first time ever, the United States has charged these companies with providing material support to terrorist organizations. In this case, the Islamic State of Iraq and al-Sham, or ISIS, and the al-Nusra Front. And for the first time, companies have pleaded guilty to supporting terrorist organizations, with Lafarge and its Syrian subsidiary facing criminal penalties of more than $750 million. Protecting national security by fighting international terrorism is mission critical for the Department of Justice. And fighting corporate crime is also a top department priority. Today's charges and guilty pleas should make clear that when companies and their executives engage in conduct that threatens our national security, in this case, by fueling violent terrorist organizations, the department will respond with resolve. And this case also makes clear, business with terrorists cannot be business as usual. Since returning to government, I have warned that companies are on the front lines in confronting today's geopolitical realities. And in today's world, corporate crime regularly intersects with national security in areas like terrorist financing, sanctions evasion, and cybercrime. Well, today we see that intersection in its starkest form. Many of our cases, of course, expose corporate greed and corruption, but this time, the corporate criminals have joined hands with the terrorists instead of with corrupt government officials. In its pursuit of profits, Lafarge and its top executives not only broke the law, they helped finance a violent reign of terror that ISIS and al-Nusra imposed on the people of Syria. As reflected in today's guilty pleas, for years, Lafarge operated a massive cement operation in northern Syria. And in 2012, as that country descended into civil war, ISIS and al-Nusra gained ground and they gained control of territory. Now, many companies made the right choice, the only lawful choice, to leave the region rather than join hands with the terrorists. Lafarge made a different decision: to go into business with ISIS and al-Nusra, two of the world's most notorious and brutal terrorist organizations. Between August 2013 and October 2014, Lafarge capitalized on the Islamic State's iron grip and violent control of Syria to stifle its competition and to increase its market share. Lafarge paid millions of dollars to both terrorist organizations and benefited from their brutality to the tune of $70 million in revenue. Lafarge also hid its partnership with these terrorists through a web of fake contracts, falsified invoices, corrupt intermediaries, and off-system email accounts. As the Deputy Attorney General, and in my previous role as the President's Counterterrorism and Homeland Security Advisor, I have witnessed the unimaginable pain and suffering of American families who have lost loved ones to ISIS. American families whose loved ones were brutally murdered by ISIS. In the summer of 2014, the world watched in horror as ISIS murdered innocent journalists and aid workers. That same summer, Lafarge was in business with ISIS, securing profits and market share and capitalizing on the group's brutality. Make no mistake, Lafarge and its leadership had every reason to know exactly with whom they were dealing. They didn't flinch. Instead, Lafarge forged ahead, working with ISIS to keep operations open, undercut their competitors, and maximize revenue. And all the while, through their support and funding, Lafarge enabled the operations of a brutal terrorist group. As also reflected in today's guilty pleas, in one email, Lafarge executives discussed how the company could share the cake with ISIS, the cake being a callous reference to the profits that Lafarge planned to reap with its illicit partnership. When that partnership ended, when it came to a close, the defendants moved to cover their tracks. But the investigation uncovered the emails Lafarge executives tried to hide. Now, the facts of this case are extreme, but they are also instructive of the Department of Justice's priorities when it comes to corporate crime, and it is instructive about what happens when companies and their executives make the wrong choices. First, as I have emphasized before, individual accountability is a top priority. And while I can't comment on any non-public Department of Justice investigations and prosecutions, what I can say is what is already in the public domain, that French authorities have arrested many of the senior executives implicated in the scheme that's detailed here today. This case is therefore a good example of international law enforcement cooperation with partners working independently but in parallel to bring about accountability and justice. In a policy issued last month, I emphasized that companies who identify misconduct should voluntarily self-report and cooperate with the department in a timely and proactive fashion. Lafarge did neither. We also emphasized that companies should have policies in place to enable retention and production of communications that are conducted over third-party messaging systems. Lafarge did not. Nonetheless, thanks to the ingenuity and the efforts of our agents and prosecutors, we were able to locate the inculpatory emails that Lafarge tried to hide off its systems. We've also emphasized that companies engaged in mergers or acquisitions should promptly and properly address compliance issues. Here, the company that acquired Lafarge did not perform due diligence of Lafarge's operations in Syria, despite the clear compliance risk posed by operations in the region. And it did nothing to investigate or address Lafarge's illegal activities until they were exposed publicly. We expect far more from companies, particularly those that operate in high-risk environments. We expect investment in robust and well-resourced compliance programs, attention to national security compliance risks, and careful due diligence when it comes to mergers and acquisitions. We will reward voluntary self-reporting. We will reward proactive cooperation with government investigations. And in doing so, we are sending a clear and unequivocal message. Investing in compliance.
So I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's 32 minutes. All right. But from this video here, there are a whole lot of stuff in there. I don't know if I should post the link so that people can listen to it and you can do your own judgment. But just what we have listened to, right? You see the game that is being played here. First of all, this company, the CEO of this company was never praising. Whether she or he did not go to praising. All right? They put this company on probation. That's it. Probation. All right? They put this company on probation. Is that justice? Is America actually fair here? Or America is playing a mind game? How can a company, we're going to come to America, okay? But how can a company of this caliber, if this company was founded in 1833, it's a colonial organization, all right? A colonial organization. It was founded in 1833. It's a French-based company. So it is a colonial organization, all right? Now, America is playing phone out of African people. It's a mind game. America said she charged this company 777 million. A company that was founded in 1833 and is the largest producing, how they call it, cement company or industry in the world. This is a company that have exploited trillions upon trillions on the suffering of human beings, of African people and other people around the world. And then this company have been formed supporting terrorist activities, like you said. And then you charge this company to only pay $777 million. Where is this $777 million going? Because that $777 million is nothing compared to the damage or the damages caused in Syria. I haven't come to the United States here. I'm dealing with this company. I'm going to come to America. I'm dealing with this company first. All right. Now, $777 million is little. It's nothing. It's nothing that will give justice, that will give healing to the people in Syria. The life, the property, the culture that have been damaged, that have been lost. It's going to take decades. It's going to take years. It's going to take centuries before the people can build their nation back, before the people can get their culture back, before the people can get what they have lost. They may not even get it again. And then you say you charge this company $777 million. The United States is a joke. It's a mind game, folks. How can a colonizer go and investigate another colonizer to put crime on that colonizer? Does it make sense here? How can someone who enslave and torture, dehumanize people, right, go and investigate another person who did the same thing that she did? You see how these people joke and play fun here? So this is what they would do, and then it make we African to think that it's going to make we African, or to think that it's going to make African leader, or to think that we are not going to do research and try to ask questions and try to analyze and try to put things in perspective, or the thing we just going to sit and think and digest what it brings to us. $777 million, is that money that you found these people guilty? This is a company that was founded in 1833, colonial term, trillions of dollars. That's what they had exploited out of people. Can that pay back the destruction done in Syria? Now, there was key thing addressed here. The speaker said, today, business with terrorists. Listen, look, when these colonialists speaking, right? The English, it sounds so good and nice, but paying attention. They said, or she said, today's business, listen now. Today business with terrorists cannot be business as usual. Did you listen to that English? That's what she said. I might post the link so you can listen to the whole thing. She said today's business with terrorists cannot be business as usual. What does that mean? What does that mean? Is someone come and tell you, oh, Frank, listen, today's business with terrorists is not business as usual. That means the person that is telling me that person and I have been in the same business, doing the same thing. But down the line, we fall apart. You didn't get me, right? You didn't get me. If someone come to you and tell you, today, business with terrorism, okay, is no longer business as usual. That means you guys have fought apart somewhere. There's a conflict. There is a conflict of interest somewhere that you guys are no longer, together. There is a conflict. But you guys, once upon a time, were in the same business of terrorism. But down the line, you got fall. Why you got fall? Terrorism, Western terrorism is a business. It is now how they say it or ordinary people see it. It's a business. It's a cult. It's a society. It's an enterprise. It is an enterprise that is being run. America wants to hold somebody responsible for the destruction in Syria. How about you, America, when you are bombing Syria? You say you want to hold a company accountable. Are you going to hold yourself accountable for the life and property and culture that you damage in Syria, that you bomb in Syria because you were there fighting? When you withdraw your troop, your ammunition, your equipment was turned over to the Axis, the same Axis. So that means you are also part of the investigation. You support the ISIS. You say the pain and suffering of American family by ISIS, when time to time it have been reported by your own media that you fund ISIS, you fund Al-Qaeda, you fund these terrorist groups. And then now you come and say American family are being in danger by the same people you fund and you created. But this is why they lie to the American people. Once you tell the American people our life are in danger, American life are in danger, they don't investigate. Right there they go against you. Instead they're going to investigate why their life are in danger, who putting their life in danger, they go with the flow. Because Americans are lazy when it comes to doing research. When it comes to doing research and finding the information for themselves, they are lazy. All they want to do is flip the TV, flip CNN, flip BBC, and flip NBC. Anything that come out is final. They go with the flow. Business with terrorists is no longer business as usual. That means you are part of it. You were part of it before, but today it's no longer business because you have an hidden agenda. Folks, this company, Lafitte, right? The American Justice Department did not find this company guilty. It is a game. And this money, by the way, this $777 million, if the United States is truly advocating for human rights, this money is small, and this money is not going to the Syrian people. This money is going to go to the American government or to American family who went in Syria that lost their legs and their hands from fighting a useless war. Those are the people this money going to the veteran. So they're going to take this money and put it in a veteran account, and then those who will qualify for it, they give it to them. This money is not going to go to the Syrian people. Where is the justice? When you went Iraq on a premise or pretext of nuclear weapon, and you did not see it, and you yourself told us there was no nuclear weapon, but life, property, culture were damaged. Are you going to hold yourself accountable? You want to preach about human rights. You want to hold people accountable who practice terrorist activities. United States have been reported by even your own media that you supported TPLF. Are you going to hold yourself accountable? Are you going to hold yourself guilty by supporting the TPLF in Ethiopia that destroy life and property and culture? Since you want to investigate terrorist activities or rebel activities, who support them? Are you going to investigate? Are you going to give the Libyan people justice when you support a rebel and they kill Gaddafi, or you yourself want to kill Gaddafi and bomb Libya? Are you going to do an investigation to hold yourself accountable and pay for the crime? Folks, what the United States did here was not an investigation. It is a mind game. It is a mind game. This company is still operating. This company is still operating. This company have not been banned. This company is not going to prison, or the CEO is not going to prison, or the people that run this company, they are not going to prison. It is the largest producing cement company in the world. Founded 1833. Trillions of dollars they have exploited. They operate both in the Middle East and on the African continent. And in fact, when it was founded in 1833, it was purposely founded to steal African resources. And then before lately, it started going to the Middle East. Trillions of dollars they have taken. Are you going to hold it? Because if the United States hold this company accountable, and this company was founded in 1833, a colonial, or how they call it, company, the United States, this is why the United States did not mention Africa. Because if the United States mentioned Africa, right, this company is going to say, how are you going to mention Africa when you yourself, you are a colonialist on the African continent? When you yourself, you took part in the dehumanization of the African people. When you yourself, you took part in exploiting African people just like us. How are you going to hold us responsible for crime committed in Africa and you don't hold yourself responsible, folks? Western terrorism is a business. It's an enterprise. It's a mind game being played on people. Okay? So this report the United States gave here, it is not a report that is genuine. The United States is not being fair here. There's a hidden agenda in that report. And I say, you African leader, do not take it. You know the reason why they came out with this report? African leaders will be here on the 12th and the 13th to meet Joe Biden. It is a mind game. They are going to be here on a 12th in December 12th to the 13th. They're going to be in Washington, D.C. to meet Joe Biden. So Joe Biden, they are setting their premise or their premises that when these African leaders come, they're going to tell them, you see, this is what we're doing to fight terrorism. We just found one company guilty. So we want you to come on our side. So the United States currently, as we speak, quote in court, she's in South Africa doing investigation about terrorist activities there. But we already know why the United States is there. And that is why we're going to prove to you here today why they are there. And that is what we're going to prove to you here today. What the United States said to the Justice Department or whatsoever is a nonsense. It's not real. It's fake. They are fighting for their interests. They are not fighting for African people's interests. If they were fighting for African people's interests, listen to this. When they gave that report, this 777 million is little money. So how about the Syrian people? Where is the justice for them? Because this money is adjusted for the wounded soldier, veteran, so-called, in quote, veteran. Those are the people this money going to. It's not coming to me. It's not coming to the common workers that are working, paying their taxes, and you sending people to go break their legs. It's not coming to them. You start taking their taxes out, and then you go and create another way. You send people that go and break their legs, and then come back. This money is not going to the common men that are working, and you're taking taxes from them. So let's see this company, who this company is or what they are about. Let's see. So this is the company. French cement giant Lafayette plead guilty in U.S. court, paying million to ISIS. First of all, let's see this. Let me tell you something. First of all, ask yourself, why would this company plead guilty? Look at the question there, right? Why will this company plead guilty? Were American forces not in Syria? Were they not in the Middle East fighting as well? Why would this company plead guilty? So ask yourself, why was America in Syria? Because they did not win the war. They did not win ISIS. In fact, reports tell us when they left, their equipment were turned over to ISIS. So why were they in Syria or in the Middle East? Ask yourself this question. Why would this company even plead guilty? Do you believe this report? No. These people are working together. These people know what to do so that they can continue the status quo of power, of white supremacy, of controlling the mind of country they call terror, controlling the mind of country that they exploit. These people are so sophisticated. They know. They are sophisticated. They know how to do things to act like they are right. They are righteous. But they are not righteous. How can you say you are the righteous one when you supported TPLF? How can you say you are the righteous one when you supported the killing of Gaddafi and the destruction of Libya? And Obama came and said one of the greatest mistakes he ever did was to send troops in Libya. He confessed. That's confession right there. That's confession. Obama confessed. One of the greatest mistakes he ever did in his leadership was to kill Gaddafi. That's confession. He confessed. Okay? So these people are working together. It's to make African people to think that the United States does not like France, so that African people will come alongside the United States, so that those nations in Africa that was colonized by the French, who are resisting the presence of France, to think that, oh yes, America is investigating a French company that is supporting terrorists, so we are going on the side of America. BS. That's the game they're trying to play with African people. But at the end of the day, they are all colonizers. A colonizer will never betray another colonizer. An enslaver will never betray another enslaver. All they're going to do is play a game that they will again conquer the same people. Now, another attempt. Why did the United States come out with this report? Just this week, in Mali have banned all foreign companies, especially French company. And Mali said these French companies are supporting terrorism, are supporting terrorist activities. They are the one funding terrorists on the African continent or in Mali. Look, the colonizer, right? Like Nkrumah said, they are not asleep. As we are making move, they are also making move. That's another reason the United States came out with this investigation, so that those francophone nations in Africa will feel that the United States is investigating France. Oh, okay, the United States is on our side. So we can go to the colonizer, leaving a Commonwealth and going to another Commonwealth. Just as what Togo did. Togo left a Commonwealth of nation and then went to another Commonwealth of nation. You left a slave master, you go to another slave master, and then you say you're free. You're not free. It's a mind game. So Africans should not fall for this. African leader shouldn't fall for this. If you watch a show, World War II, there was a Russian guy, okay? And he was in a Marine. And while he was in a Marine, they set an ambush. Let me just give a quick, statement here. So it's a World War II movie. So they set an ambush, and this Russian guy, he's a Marine in the United States Marine, right? Now, they set an ambush, and the Russian fell in that ambush. Okay, and at that time, this Russian that served in the United States Army or United States Marine was the front guy, and he was the one to shoot these Russians and to kill them. But he did not. He allowed them to go through the ambush. And when they asked him, did you know what he says? He says, once a Russian is still a Russian. Once a Russian is still a Russian. World War II. I watch it. What that mean? He was trying to tell them, just because I serve in the United States Marine, that does not mean I should go and kill another Russian. I'm still a Russian. That's my bloodline. That's my identity. Those are my people. They are not my enemy. So I will not kill them. Once a Russian is still a Russian. Once a colonizer is still a colonizer. Once an enslaver is still an enslaver. Once a thief is still a thief. Once a roll is still a roll. Once a hater is still a hater. Once who demonize you can still come and dehumanize you. Point blank. Let's look at this company. Now, let's see this company here. So French cement giant Lafitte plead guilty in U.S. court to paving million to ISIS. All right. I guess the French company too, or Emmanuel Macron, going to investigate the United States for the destruction of Libya to bring the United States to justice, right? The Macron going to investigate the United States in Baghdad and bring them to justice, right? Let's see this company here. A French cement giant, a French cement company, Lafitte, has pleaded guilty in federal court in New York to paying millions of dollars to the Islamic State and the Nura Front to allow the company business operation in northern Syria to continue in the country devastating civil war. Now, first of all, let's say this, and this goes specifically to the African leaders who are listening and who may want to take this advice. Now that you know, first of all, let's go to France. Now that you know these colonizers, right? They have businesses sponsoring terrorism. Now you know that terrorist activities on the African continent are caused by these NGO. So it is time that you work along with Mali to ban all foreign company, despite American company. They are all colonizers or enslavers. They are the same people. All of them, none of them should be, how they call it, or out. All of them should be in. Ban all of them and take all of them from the African continent. The fact that it has been reported that this company is the one that funded ISIS in the Middle East. That also means if they can do it in the Middle East, they also do it in Africa. So that means in 2012, there was a report done by the Nigerian army, and it said a French company, Médecins Sans Frontières, was the one supporting Boko Haram and giving medical supply to Boko Haram. Here it is, another colonizer, the United States, another enslaver, the United States, is pointing finger at another colonizer that they are the one supporting or funding terrorists. Now, we're going to get to why the United States, first of all, investigate this company. We're going to get that as well. Okay? I found out why the United States is bitter. I found out why the United States is bitter. And that is why when she made a statement in our report and said, today business with terrorists cannot be business as usual. And I said to you, that means the United States participated along with France yesterday in terrorist activities. But today, they have come somewhere to fall apart. Or they are also playing a mind game to make African people think that the United States is fighting terrorism, the United States is fighting to bring justice. But that is not justice, because that justice, it did not go to the people in Syria. Okay? So, African leader, that is to say, open your eyes. So, if it had been reported that a French company funded terrorist activities in Syria that destroyed that part of the world, just also get in mind, if they did it in Syria, they are also currently doing it in Africa. And that is not to say it is only France doing it. So they are the ones supporting terrorism on the African continent. They are the ones giving ammunition. That's why these terrorists had all the sophisticated weapons. So when these foreigners or these outside nations, the United States, having military bases proliferating on the African continent, and then they tell you they come to fight ISIS, they tell you they come to help you to fight terrorists, they are all BS. They are all the ones supporting the ill behavior on the African continent. Now ask yourself, why would this company supporting terrorist activities in Syria? You heard the report. They were extracting millions of resources. They were extracting the people's resources. So they were using chaos and capitalizing on our chaos at the same time, exploiting the people's resources. That's what they say in the report. Let's continue here. As part of a plea agreement, now, listen to this. It was an agreement made between them. And this was not even taken to the UN. First of all, you see the mind game. If the United States actually want justice, or it's the human right as she's preached, this is a huge case. I mean, that need to be taken to the United Nations or the so-called United Nations. Because if they do that, if they take this case to the United Nations, you know what I mean? A lot of things will be involved too. Because once they go to the United Nations, at that war stage, America herself will be involved. Because that's the time the case of Badr will come in. That's the time they will start questioning the United States why you are doing in Syria too. You have your military there. At some point of time, you had an executive order to bomb certain places. At some point of time, your own government, your own president said it, Donald Trump said, you are not in Syria for the people. You are in Syria to loot the people's resources. Donald Trump said it. Donald Trump said that is why the United States went to Syria, or the United States went in the Middle East. It was for the people. Or Trump said it, it came from his mouth. So if they take it to the United States on a war stage like that, a lot of things going to be involved. So America sat down along with this French company, and they did a thing to come and lie to people, thinking that America is fighting terrorists. As part of a plea agreement, this is a huge crime against humanity. And he said agreement. This is a company that was formed in colonial time. And then he said agreement. So you see how these colonizers play. As part of a plea agreement struck with the Justice Department, Lafayette will pay $778 million in financial penalties. In financial penalties, $777 million in financial penalty. It is money for the crime committed against humanity. It is money for the life and property that have been damaged. It is money for the culture of the people that have been destroyed. It is money for the identity of the people that have been destroyed. It is money. These are all mind games. These are all mind games. Now, in a pursuit of profit, so you see, right? In a pursuit of profit, while you are in Syria, creating war, supporting terrorists, that is what all of them do. So in a pursuit of profit, in the United States pursuit of profit, in Ethiopia was to support the TPLF government or rebel leader to take the prime minister out, so that they could have interim government, and the United States will go in and put our own government in, interim government in, and then that interim government will stay there while they are fighting for a real government, or that interim government will be the one that will reinstate in power. That is what terrorism is about. Western terrorism is about. It's about business. So in a pursuit of profit, Lafayette and its top executive not only broke the law, they have financed a violent range of terror that ISIS and al-Nusra imposed on the people of Syria. Deputy General Lisa Monaco said at a new conference in New York that the defendant partnered with ISIS, that means the company now, the dependent partner with ISIS, one of the most brutal terrorists. But who funded this ISIS group? Who funded these terrorist groups? The same person that is holding another person accountable. The same person that is saying there's a company that funded or that partner with one of the most brutal organizations in the world. Who funded this organization? It has been reported by your own media that you funded this organization for your own purpose, for your own military interventions. This is why this report is a game, it's a BS. Okay? So, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's a company, all right? In another article, when you read it, it will tell you when it was funded. I don't know if it's in here, but it was in another article that I read. But I didn't bring that article out. So when you read this article, you will see, how this company have been exploiting people around the world, how they operate, how they been getting their resources. All right. So, folks, let me say this first before I get to the next one. Now, let me say this before I can get to why the United States even reporting on this in the first place. Let me say this, okay? Let me say this before I get to why the United States is reporting on this. All right? Now, this is just to prove or to show to you that the worst, the colonizer, the enslaver, okay? The reason why they have come this far to be the first in the world was all based on the killing, the torture, the looting, the exploitation of people. That is what made them first in the world. If not, they wouldn't have been the first. The reason why they are at that stage is because they stole the identity of people and make it their identity. That is why they are so important. But if you take it out, they are not important. If you take it from them, they are nothing. So in order to stay at where they are going to continue the same torture, the same killing, the same exploitation, the same dehumanization of people in order to stay at that place they are. If not, they won't be there. Okay? That is what made these people the way they are today. It's because they kill people, they torture people, they loot people property, they store people identity, and they lie. The biggest scammer in the world, all right, are these people that are called as a superpower. The biggest scammer in the world, the people they call superpower, they are the biggest scammer. The biggest looter in the world, they are the people that they call the superpower. The biggest exploitator in the world are the people they call superpower. The biggest violator of human rights in the world are the people they call superpower. That's what made them superpower. If they don't do those things, they will not be superpower. If they don't do those things, they will never be superpower. What made them superpower? What do they have that other countries don't have? Other countries have something that they don't have. And they have to loot those people. They have to exploit those people. They have to demonize those people in order to get what those people have. But if you take it from them, they are nothing. So let's see here why the United States is doing this investigation. And let's see here why the United States said business with terrorists yesterday is not business with terrorists today. You know what I mean in the first place? You got to comply with what we say. You have to comply with what we say. The United States, let me tell you something. The United States is not saying this company, they shouldn't practice their terrorist activities or this company, they shouldn't fund terrorists. That's not what the United States is saying. Because if that's what the United States is saying, the United States should have banned this company. The United States should have taken this company to the UN. But the United States wants this company to operate, to keep exploiting people, to keep paying terrorist activities, to keep paying them to create chaos. The United States want it. They said something in our report. She said, the lady that was reporting, she said, the company that support the terrorists, that Ferry or so, right? That company, all they want that company to do is to what? Accept accountability. That means be accountable to the U.S. All they want, she said it, all we want is for them to be accountable. and follow justice. Be accountable and follow justice. That's all. But once you do that, you go contrary to the United States foreign policy interests. That's why the statement she made here, business with assets yesterday. So that means the United States was aware or she partook it in it. Business with terrorists yesterday is not business as usual. That means yesterday we allow you, everybody were doing a thing. Everybody were doing a thing, going, and we never care. But it have come to a point where we, the United States, we don't want to lose. So we will not allow you to go by yourself. Because if we allow you to go by yourself, that means we're all going to lose, because the people already know that you are a colonizer, I am a colonizer. They already know that you are an enslaver, I am an enslaver. They already know that I exploit them, you exploit them. They already know that these are the ill behavior we have done against them and you have done against them. So if we don't distance ourselves, or we don't do it in a way that we're trying to distance ourselves, we're both going to lose. And I don't want to lose. So that means I am the powerful one here. So you have to comply by what I say. Now, what I'm going to say, do you agree? Yes, okay. I'm going to make it seem that I find you guilty. Okay? I'm going to make it seem that I find you guilty and you agree to it. And then I'm going to make it seem that I find you guilty to pay a certain amount of money and you agree to pay that money. And then once that happens, they're going to think that I am on their side. And then they're going to run to me. But when they run to me, the reality is they left the plantation thinking that they are free, but they have been caught and taken back to the plantation. That's what happened in the United States here. Or that's what happened with slaves during the time of enslavement. If a slave run away from a plantation, you will be identified. And they will take you back to the plantation. And that is why slaves had the name of the last name of their master. So if they run away from the plantation and they got caught, they will ask them, what is your name? And the slave will call his or her last name. And that last name was in the system. So the slave last name was a social security attached to him. So once you call your last name and they put it in the system, they will see who own you and they will take you back to that slave owner. So when you see African men in America here today get European name, that was his social security. Because back then, they did not give him social security. So the name they are using today, or we are using today, it is still an identity of our social security that we used during slavery. Because they didn't give us social security at that time. So our last name was the social security that they identify our way when we run away from the plantation. They put our last name in the system and then they come out and say, oh, you from this plantation. You are owned by this person. And they take you right back there to that person. Now, if they take you back, that person have the choice to either sell you to another plantation because they feel that you are a rebellious slave. That is the same thing going on today. They are just playing a game in a different way, sophisticated way. So that we would think the United States is fighting for us. The United States want to give us justice. So the United States is now holding a French company accountable. The United States is now fighting terrorists. But at the end, if we come to the United States, we are still being taken back to the plantation. We are still being taken back to slavery. We are still being taken back to the prison. We are not free. The only way we'll be free is to get away from all of them. None of them should we run to. If we run to them, we are going back to the plantation. We are going back to the slave master. We are going back to the slave owner. That is what's going on here. They're playing the game in a very sophisticated way, very silent, very nice way. But not everything that is nice, me, is good. Not everything that is gold, me, is gold. Not every smile mean it is a brilliant smile or nice smile. Wake up, African. They are not on our side. America is not doing that because she loves African people. We shouldn't run to her. We run it back to the plantation or to the slave master. It's a game they are playing. Let's continue here. Let's see here. Now, so you see what they're doing here, right? So they started now, they have gone to the African continent in South Africa. Now they said treasure designated member of ISIS sell in South Africa. So you see, look, listen, man. I don't even know. Hold on. We will fight for Africa in every way. This is the U.S. Department of Treasury. All right? This is the United States Department of Treasury. Another corrupt entity. This is the same U.S. Department of Treasury that put sanction on 3 government officials in Liberia, folks. Look, let me tell you something. Whenever you see a colonizer in your country doing investigation, okay? Whenever you see a colonizer in your country doing investigation or going against a government official, that government official is not what they term to be, or they deem to be, or they say they come. That government official is not what it is that they tell you. Either that government official is not in compliance with their policy. Either that government official is not in compliance of what the United States government want, or what the United States company, or what the United States corporate want. They are not in your favor. This is the same United States Department of Treasury. You know, I want to do a report on that. But you know, the politics of Liberia, they have a lot of ignorant people. The politics of Liberia, they have a lot of ignorant people. I want to do a report on it, but I thought it wise. People would think I am speaking for the government. I sat and thought about it. But our forefather kept telling me, don't report on it. Don't talk about it. People would think I talk for the government. And I am not a government advocate. If the government does wrong, we say it. If the government does right, we say it. That is what WCC is about. We are out for liberation. I will leave that right there. I'm not going to eat. But maybe one day I will keep talking to the ancestors. I'll keep talking to our forefather. Maybe they will agree for me to still report on it one day. Maybe they will lead me in that direction. I will report. Let's continue. All right. Now, I'm going to read a little bit, and then we're going to come down here. This is where I'm going to tell you how hypocrite the United States is. She's not fighting for anybody but her selfish interests. I'll be with you 1 minute, folks. Let me see something here. Okay. All right. Let's continue here. Washington. Today, the U.S. Department of the Treasury official of Foreign Assets Control designated 4 members of an Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, cell operating in South Africa, who have provided technical, financial, or material support to the terrorist group. Now, folks, you understand first of all, right? Why we say Western terrorism is a business. Now you understand why terrorism on the African continent is a business. It's not war as they think it is. Now you understand, you African leaders, when we are saying all foreign military bases on the African continent should be out. Now you understand when we are saying that the African continent unite. Because no one single nation can fight these terrorists. Because it will be like you fighting the United States. It will be like Togo fighting the United States. It will be like Ghana fighting the United States. Or it will be like Ghana fighting North America. Or Liberia fighting North America. Or Liberia fighting Europe. Now you understand what we're dealing with here. I didn't say it. But listen what it said here. Okay? The United States Department of the Treasury Official of Foreign Affairs Control designated 4 members of an Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, still operating in South Africa, who have provided technical, financial, or material support to the terrorist group. Now, they said Iraq and they said Syria here, right? That does not mean these people are the one creating terrorist activities on the African continent. First of all, we already created a premise or the premises. Who support them? Okay? It doesn't matter where these people come from. But at the end of the day, who support these people? At the end of the day, who fund these people? At the end of the day, who gave these people medical supplies? Western terrorism is a business, is an enterprise to exploit resources from people who cannot benefit from people who own it but can't have it, from people who own it but can't have it. You own it, but you can't have it. And if you want to have it, that means more hardship. If you want to have it, that means more sanctions. Africa, this is not about individual countries on the African continent. This is deep and deeper. We are fighting America. We are fighting Europe. We are fighting the colonizer. We are still fighting for freedom. From the same people are enslaved. Just how we fought for slave, we fought we fought against slavery to be free. From the same people is the same people we are fighting against today. Just how we fought for independence from the same people are colonized is the same people we're fighting today when it comes to the terrorists. Let's continue here. Treasury also designated 8 companies owned, controlled, or directed by the individuals in these asset sales. Now, the reason why they post sales, they already make it clear, right? You got different companies. That's why I make it sell, asset sales. Different companies in there. And these companies, they are all Western company. They are all colonial company. They are, come on now. This first company was founded 1833. The first company was the so-called United States said they post sanction on, or they found it guilty. It was founded 1833. They are all colonial company. They are all company that benefited from slavery. Okay? Don't be surprised. Some of these banks in America here, don't be surprised that it's part of their asset sales. Don't be surprised that Barclays Bank in England is part of their asset sales. And don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Businesses that you work in here, they are part of these asset sales. Don't be surprised. Let's continue. ISIS continue to expand a terrorist network across the continent, now the African continent. Okay? Across the continent, as evidence by the July 2022 United Nations Secretary Council report that highlight the emerging importance of the country for funds transfer from ISIS leadership to ISIS affiliate across Africa. You see it? Now you understand it's a business. It's an enterprise. African leaders. How long we're going to tell you guys that if we don't unite, we're going to go back to the old days? How long we're going to tell you guys that these Westerners, they are not trusted. They are not to be trusted. These Westerners, they are not people we make business with. These people are the one that demonize or colonizer. These are people, when they came to the African continent, we showed them our humanity and they took advantage of us. We showed them our humanity, they enslaved us. We showed them our humanity, they colonized us. How long are we going to continue to show them our humanity? And how long are we going to sit down, they exploit us, and they keep dehumanizing us? How long? We showed them our humanity, they took our identity, and they said we have contributed nothing to the war. They said, in fact, it was some alien that came to the African continent and gave African people civilization. You know why they say it was alien? Because they discredit us. So they have to say it was some aliens that came from some unknown place to come and give the civilization that African people had. Because they don't want to give all the credit. Because Africa was the place their great scientists went and got their knowledge. So if they don't say it was some alien that came and gave civilization to Africa, and they say that African people gave that civilization, that will prove their theory wrong. That will prove their research wrong. That will prove their books they write wrong. That will prove their existence wrong. That will prove their identity wrong. So what they are trying to say is, they did not learn from alien. They cannot learn from alien. Alien cannot develop their place. So they are trying to say, even before they went to the African continent, they were already scholars. So what they learned, like Socrates and Alexander the Great, the so-called great, those people, what they are trying to say is, they were already knowledgeable, they were already scientists, they were already developers before they went to the African continent, which is lie. You can only go to an area where you have interest in. You can only go to an area where you want to go gain knowledge. You can only go to an area where you want to get more. You can only go to an area where you're so curious about. Let's continue here. So now you see how terrorists on the African continent. This is a United Nations report. Let me read it again. Treasure also designated 8 companies. They named 8 companies here, okay, that support terrorist activities on the African continent. But that does not mean it is only 8. They just named 8 here. This was just 8 they named. And these companies, by the way, they did not even name nations here. So if they can name companies here, that means they also have what? Foreign nations that support these terrorists. And they can name companies here, that means foreign military that proliferating on the African continent are also contributing to this axis. Treasure also designated 8 companies owned, controlled, or directed by the individuals in this access cells. Access continue to expand its terrorist network across the continent as evident by the July 2022, this year, United Nations Secretary Council report that highlighted the emerging importance of the countries for funds transfer from Access leadership to Access affiliate across Africa. The Treasury remained committed to exposing and disrupting terrorist financing on the African continent. Now, let's see why this treasurer is giving report here. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Now, why the treasurer is so eager in giving report today? Why the treasurer did not get report yesterday? When ISIS were being funded and supported by people they themselves know. It is today. Let's see why they are reporting. Okay? Something went down the line. Something happened down the line. Let's see. All right? Now, the South Africa based access. So, you see it now. The South Africa based access member designated to date are associate of treasures designated ISIS. Associate of treasure, again, that means different people, companies in here, individuals in here, just like doing slavery, right? Doing slavery. They have individuals, entrepreneur. Okay? Doing slavery, they have individual entrepreneur, and at the same time, they have a government. They have government in it, right? And they have people who work in government that has their own slave. All of those things. All right? That's what make it treasure. Nations are in a treasure. Individuals are in a treasure. Companies are in this treasure. That's what make it treasure. Okay? Now, and all of these people came together, put money together, and fund and open a base in South Africa. Imagine this. All these people came together, open a base in South Africa to train people there as terrorists, to go around the African continent, to be bombarding, to be killing. Wheresoever they found resources, that's why they will go and put their base there and put their terrorists there. That's why I make it treasures. Accumulation of things. Something come together. Something come together. Plenty. Treasure. The South African based access member designated today are associates. Okay? Associate. Now you see it, right? Of treasure designated access sales leader for her home, who continue to pursue access objective in Southern Africa and in Southern Africa and express their will and intent. Now, listen to this. This is where the United States. America is not fighting for nobody. She's fighting for her interest. Look at what she said. What it said here, okay? In Southern Africa and express their will and intent to attack the interests of the United States and its ally. So you see it? So you see. Now, that is why the lady in the video made that statement. Okay? Today, business with terrorists, it is not as business as usual. That statement is in the video. She said, in today business with ISIS, it is not business as usual. And then you see here in this other article what the United States is fighting for now. Let me read it again. The South African-based ISIS member designated today are associate of treasure designated access cell leader, Forum Hammer, who continue to pursue access objective, who continue to pursue access objective and not the American people objective. And when I say American people, folks, I know some of you, I understand. I'm not talking about the Pan-Africanists, but I'm talking about ordinary American, because once you say American, they feel offended. Okay? And that's how I like. Once you say American, people don't understand the subject. And then they just feel offended. Oh, he's talking to American. Oh, okay? Now, when I say the objectives of American, okay, I'm not talking about ordinary people who at the end of the day, they are homeless. They have to go work 8 jobs, 4 jobs, 5 jobs. They can't even sleep in their own bedroom. That's not the kind of people I'm talking about when I say American. You are just a common person. Okay? I'm not talking to you. When I say the objectives of American, I'm talking about the same people I was standing over there giving reports. The people that control the system. I'm talking about the plantation owners. Okay? I am talking about the plantation owners. I'm talking about the colonizer. I'm talking about the people that hold on to it, to the status quo. You see here, okay, who continue to pursue access objective in South Africa. Now, when they say access objective in South Africa, first of all, access does not just get and go in South Africa. They already told you the people that support access. They are a group of individuals, they are a group of people, they are a group of nations that made the essential of treasure of access. Okay? Now, these are the people they are protecting their objective. Okay? Now, why is the United States better? And that is not to say I am speaking for access or those nations. But we want to make things clear here that America here is not as clean as you want to say here. We should reject all of them. Because she already got her intention here. Okay? Who continue to pursue access objective in South Africa and express their will and intent to attack the interests of the United States and its ally. You understand? So America is not fighting for Africa. So African leaders, when you see that video where the United States is charging a French company, let me tell you this. The United States and France, they are allies. So now you already see here. Now, I told you that video where when they charge that French company is a setup. And now you see here. America and France, they are allies. America and Great Britain, they are allies. And America already told you here in the second article that I am reading, the reason why they are going against ISIS is because these companies, these individuals, these nations don't want to listen to the superpower, to the United States to take full control, to the United States to lead. And these ISIS or these companies, they are saying they want to attack the will and interest of the United States in Africa. So how will the United States gain her interest or her interest not be sabotaging Africa? Is to come out with a mind game that, okay, say y'all want to play the game, we're going to play the game. Do not fall for it. It is all trap. So the United States is telling the other people, saying, you want to play a game, we are going to play our game too. We're going to act like we are fighting terrorists. We're going to act like we are investigating you. We're going to act like we are on the side of African people. But how long you, America, have been sitting down there? It is today that you want to do investigation because your will and interest are not being protected, as you say here in Africa. So you want to come out to lie to African people? Do you know how long African people have died from terrorist activities? In fact, terrorist activity was not there. But by the time you are leaving Iraq in your 2000s or 2002, and you start creating military bases in Africa through George Bush, That is now we start experiencing terrorist activities. To be fair. And this is the objective here. This is your motive as to why you're doing this thing, acting like you're doing investigation. Because these people, they are saying, you are saying they are threat to your will. They are threat to your interest in Africa. Folks, now, you tell me if terrorist activities on the African continent is not business. You tell me terrorist activities is not business. You saw it. This is not Google shares. This is something from their own website. This is something from their own mouth. This is something they themselves doing. It is a business. Terrorism is a business. Terrorism was funded by the West, and terrorism is a Western business. Terrorism is a Western enterprise for destruction, for exploitation, for looting, for sexual exploitation, for human trafficking, drug trafficking, everything. Now, we Africans can also define what a terrorist is. Not only America or not only the colonizer. I came out with my own definition too when I was doing this research. So terrorists can also be if you give support, and fund a government, okay? If you give support to individuals, if you give support, okay, to others or to government, okay? If you give support and fund a government that is disputed by the people, is a terrorist. If you give support and form a government that is being disputed by the people, is also a terrorist. That's my definition I came up with. If you give support and form a government that is disputed or being disputed by the people, is a terrorist. It's a terrorism. So what you're doing in Haiti is also terrorism, because you support and form a government that is being disputed by the people. It destroys the livelihood of the people. It gives harsher condition to the people. Because that particular government in power will no longer serve as the will and pleasure of the people. That is terrorism. That government will serve at the will and pleasure of the United States. It's terrorism. Because you the one that fund and support this government that is in power, that is against the will and pleasure of the people. It's terrorism. Because that government will no longer be in the position to protect his or her people. It's terrorism. Because government should serve at the will and pleasure of her people. Government should be able to protect the life of the citizens. Government should be able to protect the property of its nation. Government should be able to protect and preserve the natural resources of its nation. But if a government cannot do that, and you support and fund this government, it's terrorists. Let's go to the next step. The next step here, folks, we're going to go to Kenya. We're going to go to Kenya and talk about this Kenyan president, the newly elected Kenyan president, President Ruto. Like I said, when he first came, I saw him as a Pan-Africanist. But this is what we are dealing with on the African continent. We still are like slaves. No, I do not want to leave the plantation. Because if I leave the plantation, I'm no longer going to be, financially equipped. No, I want to be in a plantation because at least I will get finances. Because at least I'll be able to eat. Because at least I will sit down on a table with my master to discuss. My master will see me as a counterpart. My master will see me as a president, just how my master is a president. You don't have to measure your presidency with your master. You don't have to measure your presidency with European people or with America or with the colonizer or with the enslaver. You don't have to. It is not something necessary. It is something unnecessary if you do it. If you measure your presidency or your power as that of the power of the colonizer, the America, Europe, France, or whosoever it may be, it's not power. You are just photocopying. You are a photocopy. You are not the original. Why can't you be yourself? Why can't you be the original? Now, let me hit a button here. Let me hit it here. Now, in Kenya, what happened in Kenya is that once upon a time, Kenya banned GMO, food product, genetically modified, I think organic or something, all right? Food that is made in a lab, food that is being made in a lab. They make a food in a lab, all right? That is what make it genetic, all right? Somebody just sit down and create something and they put chemical in it and it turns to apple and not real apple. It just means it's not real. It just means it's not real apple. It's not real food. But it looks like food that you can eat and feel somehow satisfied. If somehow you feel your belly is full, your stomach is full, right? You eat it. Once you eat it, you feel that your stomach is full. But it's nonsense. Your stomach is not food. What you put in your stomach is sickness. It's not going to digest. It's a scientist food that cannot digest in your body well. All right? It is a scientist food that it cannot digest in your body. It's going to affect your body. It is not a food that you eat, oh, my people. So what they say we can't talk now. Let me get back. So Kenya, once upon a time, banned genetically modified organic or food. That means you will not grow your food in a lab and bring it to the Kenyan people. Now, first of all, let me play the video for you before I will really get into this. Let me play the video. All right. Let me.
Ban of some of their products. So then that came at a time when Kenya was lifting that particular ban. So the conversation ongoing was that on this lifting of ban of some of their products. So then that came at a time when Kenya was lifting that particular ban. So the conversation ongoing was that then why we are lifting this ban so that we can create market for the West. They say that these are foods that you consume. You are mostly used to this in the West. In Kenya and Africa, we don't even have enough capacity for this science and technology. I don't know how you would speak to this particular issue.
I will say this. Do you want to die?
Okay.
Do you want to die?
Not when it's on my time to die.
Okay. You let GMO foods in your country, you're going to have the same cancers, the same sicknesses that we have in the West with all this GMO and chemicals in our food. See, you guys eat it much cleaner than we do because you don't have all them chemicals and all the additives and things in your food. I feel so much better when I eat the food here, when I eat the fruits here. When you go back to the West, your stomach start hurting and everything because they put too much trash in the food. So anybody that wants to protect their country, keep GMO out.
So now let me go to the president and Bill Gates, then I will come back to Phil. By the way, Phil is in Kenya right now. Okay, that just came out. He's in Kenya. He's in Africa right now. Okay, so that report that he's giving was done in Kenya. All right. Now, so the president of Kenya has banned GMO food product. Okay, we don't want it here. Okay, we African have the soil. You European, you don't have the soil, so you can grow your GMO and eat it, right? But in Africa, we have the soil. We don't want it, and we ban all GMO product not to come to Kenya. Now, this new elected president of Kenya, President Ruto, he got in power, right? He lifted the ban. He lifted the ban from GMO product. That means you can grow your food in America here, your scientists, whatsoever, you can grow your genetically food product and take it to Kenya or take it to Africa and give it to the people, they eat it. All right? So he lifted the ban. Now, when he lifted the ban, I think it was this week or somebody last week, Bill Gates was in Kenya. Right after this man lifted the ban, Bill Gates was in Kenya to go and invest in producing GMO food on the African continent. Bill Gates. It was this same Kenya that Bill Gates vaccine that he said was polio, this same Kenya, and it was this same Bill Gates, okay, that took vaccine, and he said it was a polio vaccine through another branch of the United Nations called UNHCR. Those are the people that provide the medical supply and thing, okay? Bill Gates used his vaccine that he's claimed it was polio vaccine, and he used it through the UNHCR and went to Kenya, and then they said it was polio vaccine that they were giving to girls ages between 11 to 20 or 21, to be precise, if I can be. And they said it was polio vaccine. And they said the reason why there was the administration of that vaccine was, and they're only giving it to girls, so that in the future, when you get pregnant, you don't have to take the polio vaccine again because that polio vaccine will already be in you. So that in the future, when you get pregnant or you give birth, your child won't have to take polio vaccine again because that polio vaccine is in you. It will help to protect the child from getting polio. Just to come and find out, some of those girls, after the group of age, all right, some of them are already in their 20, 25, right? And they got married. And some of them were not married, but they wanted to give birth. They wanted to get pregnant. They wanted to have child. They wanted to have children. They couldn't. They wanted to procreate, and they could not. And when they went for follow checkup, because it became a concern to the extent at that time, Dr. Uhuru was the president. I mean, President Uhuru was the president. Okay? So the Kenyan women went and protest. And that led to the government at that time and said, that led to him saying, men should marry at least 2 or 3 wives. Men should get at least 2 or 3 wives so that these women will be able to get pregnant. That was not still the solution. So these women could not get pregnant. So they ended up going to do further checkup. When they went to do checkup, all those women that took that polio vaccine, the so-called Bill Gates polio vaccine, It was not a polio vaccine. All of them that took it, their womb was destroyed. They could no longer get birth. It was steroid injection that they put into them that destroyed their reproductive organ. None of them could get birth. All of them that took that polio vaccine, they went for follow checkup. So that's how a Kenyan doctor was able to diagnose the situation. And all of them that took the polio vaccine, none of them could get pregnant up to today. They are done. This is the same Bill Gates that have gone in Kenya again and want to go and invest in GMO. This is the same Bill Gates that said he's fighting hard to depopulate the African continent, the African people. How can someone who have planned your ill, who have planned your demise, come and be a rescuer? How can that be? That GMO that you're going to eat is going to be more personal than the GMO they even produce in America here. This was the same Bill Gates that said the future to come, the only way the earth will sustain the natural resources or the resources, and when I say the natural resources, folks, they are just talking about Africa. Bill Gates said the only way to sustain or the resources can sustain the mankind, as I would just paraphrase it, mankind, right, is to what? Depopulate mankind. And the depopulation he was talking about was the African continent. And he said, how can we do that? The video is online, it's on YouTube. Bill Gates said, how can we do that? Bill Gates said, the only way we can do that is through vaccine. That was a statement. I'm not paraphrasing. He said, the only way we can do that is through vaccine. And then he also went as far as saying, before then, we used war. War was used as form of a depopulation. But now, people do not want to fight war. Nobody wants to fight war again. So war is not a means of depopulation. The means now is what? Through vaccine. Now, African people are resisting Western vaccine. You saw that during the coronavirus, when African people start resisting the Western vaccine. Okay? African people are resisting Western vaccine. African people don't want to take their polio again because that have turned out to be lie. It was steroid to destroy the African women's womb or reproductive organ. Bill Gates. So now, Bill Gates have noticed that the next step will be, say these people love food and they are hungry and they don't have food and they can't produce food for themselves and we have starved them, right? No food, right? We have made it to think that the better food to eat, it comes from Europe and America, it comes from the West. When you eat a Western food, it makes you knowledgeable, it makes you wise, it makes your IQ high, right? We can get them through food. We can depopulate them through food. But guess what? Let me ask you a question for those of you on the African continent. Do you know why in the West, in America here, in the black community, there where you have the most sickness like diabetes and other sicknesses? Do you know why? Because the food they bring to the African community are not being produced by African people. It has been produced by the same people, by the same system. And the food they bring to the African community is different from the food they carry to non-African community. So what is coming to the African community, it has already been sealed. It was grown differently. It was packaged differently. So that means what they put in there, it destroys our system. So that is why most sicknesses and diseases are in the African community, in the United States, in America here, and in Europe and so forth. It is not by coincidence that African people just get sick or get these sicknesses. If that's the case, then it should be genetic. Then that means if they have it here, they should also have it on the African continent because it is genetic, because that's their origin, that's their root. But it is not genetic. Because they do not grow their own food. We do not grow our own food here. We eat food they bring to us. That is why I don't play around their food too much. I eat my African food. And no African food, I cook myself. If my mom don't cook, I cook. Because I take 4-5 hours to cook African food. So everything die. Then to go eat that fast food without chemical and then it destroy you. That is why in the African community, people are sick as compared to non-African community in the same country. In the same country. Okay? If African people were growing their own food, making their own food in this country and they're getting sick, then we will understand that it is not, we will understand the way they face their food and thing. But how can a system provide the same food? Okay? But certain group of people get more sickness than certain group of people. How can they say the food African American eat? Let me put it that way now, okay? Because I want to specify things here now. How can they say the food African American eat is more personal? It gives them diabetes, it gives them this, it gives them this. But that same food is being produced or have been produced by the same system that carry the food to non-African community. Why those people too why they can't get report and say the food they eat, it gives them diabetes, it gives them this, it gives them that, it gives them this. So if you sit on the African continent there and you allow Bill Gates to come and give you scientists food they produce in a lab, laboratory produced food, okay? First of all, you don't even have a good healthcare system. You don't even have a good healthcare system. And then they give you genetically modified food. You know what they're going to do to you? It's like our women, it's like our African women, our African goddess going to Dr. Miami and doing implant or butt. Then after 5 years, then you see their butt shrinking. And you see, how they call it, poison coming from in a behind. You see them live getting rotting. They're living and getting rotting. And that's how our African women now, in the diaspora now, even some of them on the African continent are coming to Dr. Miami, getting fake butt, getting fake body, and going back on the African continent. And then after a couple of years, they start suffering from it, living and you getting rotting. That is just an example. That is just an example. Why should you allow people to destroy you? People already want to destroy you, and you allow them to destroy you. People already want to extinct you, and you telling them, come and extinct, or come and kill, or come and just finish up. And you embrace them. You allow them to come. Bill Gates does not have no good intention for African people. His intention is to depopulate African people. That's the history of Bill Gates' parents. Bill Gates' parents were involved in Planned Parenthood. And Planned Parenthood was formed to kill African people, to destroy African people from born, from giving birth. That's how Bill Gates' financial thing started. Bill Gates is not even a scientist, okay? Bill Gates is not even a scientist. People think he's a scientist. No, he's not a scientist. So if he is not a scientist, right, in the first place, that means he's not an agriculturalist. It's like in America here, they take the entertainer, they take a musical producer to go and talk about what? Slavery, to go and talk about what? Law to affect African people in their community. They take entertainer to go serve as representative, to go serve as senator. They take entertainer to serve as city mayor, as council people for African people. But they don't do it in their community. So how you going to take, let's just put it that way, he's a scientist. How you going to take a scientist to be an agriculturalist? You have more farmers in America here. You do not recruit farmers to go to Africa with their equipment, but you take a scientist to come and produce food for you. The next day, you will look like a scientist experiment. After you eat that food that we gave you, after 1 or 2 years, you will see yourself looking like a scientist experiment. So, to the Africans, to the Kenyans, please do not accept Bill Gates. Bill Gates have an agenda. You imagine 2020, when the coronavirus came, Bill Gates and his wife, what was their statement? They had no empathy for African people. They said millions of Africans will die. Millions of Africans will die. But guess what? Their wars and our wars are not the same. Their wars are not powerful. Our wars are powerful because we are connected, directly connected to the living souls. We are directly and spiritually connected to the earth. So when we speak, the earth hears us. We are spiritually and directly connected to the universe. So when we speak, the universe listens than them. You know why the universe have now been listening to us when they speak? Because we don't speak back. We do not speak back. We keep silent. Even in a court of mankind, mankind find you guilty and they put allegation against you and you say nothing and you just say that. What do they say? Silent means consent. Because you are silent, that means you have proved that you are guilty. In a court of mankind. If they speak against you and you sit down and you don't speak, that means you are guilty. That means you accept that what they are saying is true. That is why most of the time when they speak against African, it happens because we do not speak back to the universe. And when we keep silent, the universe listening. The universe listening and say, oh, but then they agree to it. They are guilty. Or they agree to what they are saying, that this will happen to them. Their disaster will happen. They will die. They will this. The universe listening. But when they said millions of Africans will die, what happened? We spoke and the universe listened to them not, but they listened to us. That million, it happened in America. That million, it happened in Europe. It did not happen in Africa. We said, no, Bill Gates, millions of Africans will not die. It is your country where millions of people will die. And I play millions of people came from. It is your country that will be affected. Your continent will be affected. And at their continent that was mostly affected, not the African continent. And we told them, you got a vaccine, right? You will be more affected and you will continue producing boosters and upon booster. In fact, they just coming over another booster again. They'll put it into their people. Our people will not take on the African continent. Because we've been keeping silent and we don't understand how powerful and spiritually we are connected to the universe. All the universe wants is for us to open our mouth. Our forefather told us, anytime you need us, just call us. Call the name of our forefather. You know why things been going against us? Because we've been calling the wrong people name. The people are enslaved or colonizer, we took them as our forefather. And then when we get into problem, we call upon their name. It's not going to happen. Our forefather said we should call upon their name. They didn't say call upon the name of their enslaver or the name of your colonizer. They said call upon our name and we will be there and we will listen and it will manifest. That's what they told us. Because of lack of ignorance, that's how we've been suffering. And that's why when these people speak, it manifests. Because we do not counter check their statement. We do not speak to the universe. We do not speak to our forefather. But that time came. We spoke and our forefather listening and the universe listening. That tells you we are directly connected. We can speak against them and it will happen. They know it. They know it. While Sarah Palin, Donald Trump president, I mean, Daniel Trump or Pastor. Daniel Trump's second thing, what did she say? When she was praying for Daniel Trump, what she said? Let us call the name of Africa. Let us call the African spirit. You think they don't know? The term African, we believe in the white man so much that when they speak, we take it. And that's a slave syndrome. They know who we are, but we don't know who we are. Why would she say, let us call on the name of the spirit of Africa? She knew what she was talking. But again, we said no. That name of Africa, or the spirit of Africa, you called it will not happen. You are not a spiritual person. You cannot call the name of our ancestor. You think it happened? No. Only we can call that name of our ancestor, of our forefather, manifest, not you. Because you are not spiritually connected to them. It can't work. This thing is connection. If you are not spiritually connected, it will not work. So, folks, Bill Gates, don't allow him. President Ruto, please. That ban you lifted, do not accept Bill Gates money. How did we live before the 1600? Who grew our food for us before the 1600? Who did we depend on before the 1600? And when I said before the 1600, because that was when Europeans started coming to the African continent in vast numbers. That was when Europeans took advantage of us. That was when Europeans changed our story and they make it their story. That was when Europeans told us it was alien that gave us civilization. Because it was alien that poured the diamond and gold on our African queens and kings, right? It was alien that came and dug the gold and processed it and make it ring. It was alien. It was alien that put diamond ring on our king and queens and dressed them with diamonds. It was alien. We were using diamond before European, and they wonder where we got those things from. They wonder, how did we get that and how did we process it? It was alien, right? How did we live before the 1600? We can be talking about decolonization and you're doing these things. I thought you are a Pan-Africanist. You can't be talking about uniting Africa and you're doing these things. I thought you are a Pan-Africanist, President Ruto. You can't be talking about unification of Africa for African people to come together and you're doing these things. That's not decolonization. It's like you're fighting for decolonization, but when I enter your house, you have white Jesus. It's like you're talking about decolonization, but when I enter your house, you're teaching your children Sunday school about Jesus. About white Jesus. Let me be specific. And then when I enter your house, every corner of your house, see white Jesus pictures, poster hanging all over. And you're talking about then you come and you take, and then when you come and you telling us you are fighting for decolonization. But in your household, you have Jesus, white Jesus picture all around. In your household, you telling your little kids, your daughter and your son, that it was white Jesus that came and died for your sin. In your little house, you're telling us you are fighting for decolonization, but in your little house, when I come there, you telling your daughters, your son or your children, your God does not look like you. The guy you said does not look like you. He looked at the white man. But you're telling us you're fighting for decolonization. Please, Ruto, you came clean, stay clean. Don't lie to us. Don't fool us. We saw you as one of us, and we believe you are stay. Please do not accept Bill Gates and his depopulation agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, this is for today. Thank you for being on. This is WCC, which are colonizing. This is a revolutionary educational lecture aspect that we do every Friday. We will not rest until we get to where we want to get. We will not rest until we destroy the system that seeks to destroy us. Any system that seeks to destroy us, that system is an enemy. And our intention is to destroy that system. Thank you for being on. Share, like, subscribe. I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.